The Christian world observes the passion and death of our Lord Jesus Christ. This is a very special and sacred day for all Catholics. This is a key period in the Holy Week. That's why today, I'm gonna take you to a virtual tour of the Stations of the Cross at the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem. But before we proceed, please subscribe to my channel, the Blogcaster Armandine YouTube channel, because in this channel, I will give religious, historic, and cultural perspective of biblical stories and sites that I have visited. And today is a very special day because I will tell you my observation, my readings, and also facts told to me by our tour guide who happened to be in Palestine. So, at the Via Dolorosa, which in Latin means way of the grief, in the center of the old city of Jerusalem, what struck me when my eyes first laid upon the Cobblestone Road, the historic and sacred road, was the fact that the stones were full of grooves. They were flagstone, and they're not as in the Roman times. They're not paved like our roads now, like our cemented roads. And what struck me was the fact that all of us centers his sacrifice. We always view it from the weight of the cross, and also the scourging of the pillar and the thorn placed on his head. But seeing the road, I realized how it could have added to his burden, how it could have made the cross heavier, and his eyes were full with blood, and his face full of lashes, as well as the whole of his body, and he was dragging a cross in an even surface between cobblestone, and I shuddered at how every time the cross falls on the groups cut in those stones, which were placed there so that the horses will not slip into the slippery. So the Romans purposely made it groove. So how it must have pounded and jarred the cobbled streets of Jerusalem, that is at present now owned partly by Israel and the Palestine government. So I stabbed my foot into those stones, and from the first station, they were the same from the first station where Pontius Pilate condemned him to death. So now we'll proceed to the Via Dolorosa. So our way of the cross started at the Madrasa Al Umaria School. You will be surprised to see Hebrew and Muslim signages along with our alphabet signages all around, because after all, for hundreds of years, Israel has been occupied by the Muslims, by the Christians, by the Crusaders, and the Ottoman Empire ruler. So this is really a mixture of all these three great religions and races. So the Madrasa Al-Umaria School is located 300 meters west of the Lions Gate in the Old Jerusalem, and we discussed earlier about the Lions Gate. And we were to go all the way at the 14th station at the Golgotha Hill, the site of the Crucifixion, which is located at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So, going in the company of a bishop, we were lucky, and a priest, I felt part of Christ's suffering, and I imagined the cross weighing heavily on his shoulder, and his back, whose flesh were torn open by lashes inflicted by the Roman soldiers the night before. How our Lord's blood could have dripped and flowed along the edges of the cross and into that same cobblestone where only days before he could have walked, and along with the people praising him, as you recall, his triumphant entry during the Palm Sunday. And I imagine how agonizing the pain could have become unbearable because the insults of people taunting him and challenging him to save himself. And to think these were the same people who were praising him for his healing of some of their relatives and friends. So, they have been these days, 9 of the 14 stations are located in different locations across the old city, but and 5 of them are inside the hall of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And our pilgrimage started at Station 1 and at the Muslim Quarter. And well, as in other religious places or all over the world, the whole street is lined up with snack bars, tourist shops, and monasteries and churches. And souvenir shops are owned by Jewish and the Arab residents mixed all together in this old street. And now we go to the focal point of the Station of the Cross, and that is Station 11, where Jesus Christ is nailed to the cross. But before we proceed there, I would like to give you an insight of how putting or nailing a man to a cross was like during the Roman times. As per our Palestinian tour guide, history really states that the nailing to the cross was not only the worst, but also most humiliating kind of punishment the Romans ever give to criminals or those who try to instigate uprising or revolutions against the Roman Empire. Actually, he said that tunic or piece of cloth we now see covering the private parts of the Lord in our statues, in our picture, in our paintings, and engravings, carvings, drawings. They are done for aesthetic purposes, but not to offend our morals and sensitivity. But in reality, what could have happened was that they may actually have stripped him naked, as they did to other suspected or accused criminals. In short, what we see now in the paintings, old and new paintings, is the censored version of the crucifixion, because in the traditional way of crucifying, the Romans really stripped them not only of their clothes, but the intention really is not only to punish them physically, but to strip them, to remove them of all honor and respect as a person or as a human being. They really want them to feel they are less than human when they are nailing them to the cross or punishing them with such kind of death. And the Romans are said to have perfected the art of torture and execution, and the masterpiece of this all is death by crucifixion, because of the horror, physical and psychological torture it can bring to anybody. This form of torture is so extreme that there is even a law disallowing Roman citizens from being subjected to this kind of torture. So imagine, they only use this to non-Romans because it is so painful and so embarrassing and so shameful. So you can really see how Jesus Christ suffered all this for all of us. So now we will go to the station. So apart from the station 11, which really gave me a very deep form of meditation, is on the pain of Jesus Christ, the humiliation, was also the spiritual experience I had on station 12, where as Jesus dies from the cross. So, dies on the cross. So in this room, you will see a Greek Orthodox altar with a disc, with a central hole. A hole, and underneath the altar marks the spot where the cross stood on the rock of Golgotha or Calvary. So this altar is placed above the stone where the cross was erected, and there is a hole that you can put your hand into. And when I placed my hand there, it was cold, and it really felt you really felt the blessing of God doing so, especially when I touch the stone. And pilgrims like us also, apart from reaching into the stone, we also kiss the star where that covered the stone. So after that, we proceeded. This is all right within the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We proceeded at the 13th station as Jesus was taken down from the cross. But this is more accessible because there is an altar that marks the spot where Mother Mary received the body of her son after he was taken down from the cross. And from there, he was laid down on the stone of unction, or anointed stone, with mixture of myrrh, aloe, and aromatic oils. So this is a stone slab, and they were able to unearth this years ago, and pilgrims can kneel, pray, and kiss the stone and rub their hands into it. And we, on our part, we brought handkerchiefs as instructed by our tour guide, and we rubbed those handkerchiefs into that stone, and we still keep those handkerchiefs uh, uh, to remind us of those times, and we feel that handkerchief is fully blessed. And now we proceed to the 14th station where Jesus is placed on the tomb. We now proceed to the spot which is one of the holiest place in Christendom. The tomb of Jesus is in the center of the basilica beneath the main rotunda, and you have to line up to go to it because there are many pilgrims making the rounds of the rotunda too. It is within an ornate edicule which resembles a mausoleum. Before you reach the tomb inside a small inner room, you will see a piece of stone that was used to seal the cave where Jesus was laid to rest. And the sacred cave, hewn in stone, where Jesus was buried, is covered with a flat marble slab. That slab was put in place in 1555 or 5 centuries ago. And only 5 tourists at a time are allowed to pray before the tomb, over which pilgrims like us rub our rosaries and crucifixes on that stone. So all of this, it is beyond word. It is I have no word to describe the feeling of making the Via Dolorosa. And even now, I still have those beautiful feeling. And maybe this is a good time to reflect on on this Good Friday, to reflect on the suffering of Jesus Christ and the physical, emotional, and even dehumanizing suffering he underwent for all of us. This is crucial in these modern times when COVID is affecting all of us, turning our lives asunder, driving fears into us. So let us offer all our fears and burdens and sufferings to Jesus Christ, because He too chose to become human, chose to suffer with us, to know exactly how much we are suffering. He knows how much we are suffering, because as I told you in the crucifixion, it is one of the worst kind of suffering ever inflicted on a human being. So God knows, and maybe in time we too are going through our Via Dolorosa, COVID Via Dolorosa, and God knows this. God is suffering with us for this. He knows how we are suffering as human being, because He chose to become like us. And in God's time, He will lift us from all of this suffering. So I end my reflection here, and I hope through this humble video you have had some insight beyond and around biblical stories. And please subscribe to the Blogcaster Armandin YouTube channel, and please refer it to friends. Please share it to friends if you feel enlightened or you learned something from it. And see you in my next video, and have good and reflective and blessed Good Friday, everyone.